Hello, everyone. Hope you're doing well. Hope you're looking after yourselves. Welcome back to another episode of Hustle Chronicles. I had to adjust my seat because this is how serious the conversation can get. Yes, we discuss entrepreneurship. We look at many different businesses. We've had great businesses on so far, speaking about improving that personal connection with More Connection Co. We've heard from honey companies. We've heard from consultancies. And we've got another amazing guest speaker here today to speak about their business. Now, instead of me reading out their description or telling you a bit about them, I think it's best if we hear from the amazing person themselves. So I'm going to hand over to Leila. Leila, how are you doing? Could we know a bit more about you and what you do?
So my name's Leila Davis, aka QT Whippingham, and I am a professional pole dancer and pole instructor and pole studio manager. I've been poling for almost a decade now and poling professionally for about 5 years now. I also own an organisation called Blackstage Pole, which is a company an events company that platforms pole dancers of colour. So we centre pole dancers of colour. We create a big professional annual pole show every year. We run workshops all year round. We do research into rates in the pole industry and masterclasses to combat exploitation of pole dancers. And we provide resources.
Well, I think... there we go. Round of applause is needed because you're doing such incredible work, and we're looking forward to diving more into that. I think before we officially dive in, there's two questions I need to ask. Well, one question, one thing I need to say. So first off, you've done an interview on BBC Radio. I hope this is good. Because you're back on it. How was that?
That was really fun. Yeah, someone actually reached out to me like, oh, we'd love to have you on the show. We heard about what you do. Sounds amazing. Would love to hear you talk about that. And I was like, oh my gosh, yeah. It's like, what? I went down to BBC Radio 1 Extra and they asked me some questions about pole dance, what I do, and I talked a little bit about the history of pole, my work with Blackstage, like what the show... Blackstage is my organisation, by the way. I don't think I actually said that. But and I just talked about like our journey and what we're up to, and it was really cool. It was really fun.
Oh, cool. And the question was, so QT Whippingham, where did that come from?
Okay, so basically, your porn star name is your childhood pet and your road name. Okay. And my hamster was called Cutie, and I lived on Whippingham Road, and then I moved to Whippingham Street at uni when we were discussing these names.
Oh, very nice. Oh, very cool.
Yeah.
Let's go to the first question. Now, on our website, we've got your bio, and I think it's an understatement to say that you've worked with some pretty big names in the music industry. You worked with incredible artists such as CupcakKe. You've worked with Burna Boy and Snoop Dogg, which I don't think a lot of people can say that they worked with those three people.
Yeah.
So could you share a memorable experience or pivotal moment it could be from each of these collaborations or one that you think significantly shaped your career?
Oh, one of those specifically out of those three.
Those three. Yeah.
Okay. I feel like my career was already like heading in a strong direction before that, to be honest. Okay. But it was really it's so hard to choose which one. Maybe I'll just do it in order of when they happened. So performing with Snoop was fantastic. Like we performed in front of 21,000 people, and that's just a lot of people. Like a stadium that big. Like I never thought about performing on a stage that big for some reason, and like it was just really amazing. Like I got to work with some really cool pole dancers. Got to hang out with Snoop, who was just like a dream, like such a lovely guy. And it's just like a completely different experience. Like the stage is so big, there's just so much space, there's so much energy, there's so much going on. It was super fun. And Snoop Dogg's music's obviously like very well known, so it's not like I had to go and like look up any lyrics or anything. I just naturally knew them. They're in my blood. Like I've been listening to them since I was a kid, so it's just like wow. Like I used to listen to this in like school discos and like on my iPod Touch, and like here I am on stage with him. Yeah, that was amazing. And with Burna Boy as well, like that was insane because it was even bigger than Snoop. Like he broke a record that day. I think he was like the first like African artist to sell out like that stadium, or a stadium that size. And what's mad is that it was on the same day as Beyonce and the same capacity as Beyonce, so 80,000. So I went from 20,000 in March to like 80,000 in like June, and I was like, wow. But I was kind of like, yeah, I got this. Like, this is fine. Like, but yeah, it was just mad. And I really, really enjoyed the backstage of that show, like more than like so many things I've done before. We had such a good like team of dancers backstage, and we had like, the best time the whole time, and it was just so fun. And that was like 2 days. And then CupcakKe for me was also like really emotional because like I love her music. I've loved her music since like 2017 or something like that. Like, and she started making music young. I think she was like 15, 16. And just like I've watched like her career grow and like been a fan of her music and just thought, oh, this is so good. She's so underrated. Like she needs more like just more like praise because of how good her music is. But like just getting to perform on stage with her, and at this time it was just me and her. Like the other times there were other dancers on stage, but this is like an artist that's really close to my heart, and like just dancing just me and her and like vibing off each other was just like such a moment. And yeah, that was just like, it's definitely a career highlight for me. Had so much fun.
Oh, that's really cool.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think what's really interesting is like, I guess, would you have ever thought you would have been on stage with those artists?
You know what? I never actually thought about live like tours. I always thought about like music videos and things like that are more intimate, because I've done so many music videos before, and I just thought like, oh, maybe working with a bigger artist in a music video. I never thought like a live big show on a tour, like 80,000 people. I never thought about that at all, but it's so fun. There's just such great energy because people know it's a big like show, it's a tour, like there's this tour energy that I've never thought about before, but it's really like palpable, really fun.
Important question. Did you get a photo with all three artists?
Absolutely. Actually, didn't get one with Burna Boy. He was really busy.
Okay.
But I got one with Snoop, and I've got loads of Snoop pictures and videos. Like I've got a whole album of just backstage antics, and I've got loads of pictures of CupcakKe. And we were like both like really sweaty after the show because for some reason we took them after, not before. But yeah, I've got some fantastic pictures in the archives for sure. Okay. Snoop ones are like my fave because he's so funny and he's just like dancing and all of them and just being so cute.
I've got to ask as well, while you get the photos up, Is Snoop the same as he is? Like, as you see, you see him like in interviews and stuff, and he's very chill. He's like this nice, like, cool guy. Is it even like? Is it the same? Is it?
Absolutely, yeah. Wow. Well, I've got so many pictures. I don't even know which one to start with. This is. I don't know if you can see. This is a good one. Yeah, and we've got like such jokes videos as well. But like he's super chilled out, just like really nice. Like like the first thing he said to us was like, thank you guys so much. Like you guys are amazing. Like it was so good to have you. Like just like praise. And it's like, that's mad. Like you're literally like the artist, but like, well, so are we. But it's just like, I feel like sometimes Paul isn't really recognized, but you could see that he actually like appreciated our work and thought we were super talented and would like comment on like different things that we'd done during the show. And then he like signed all of our like either shoes or like some kind of like thing that we gave him, and he wrote "Love You Queen" on my makeup palette. So that's never going anywhere.
But yeah, let's go on to the next question, which is clearly from working with these artists, you've got an amazing creative process. So could you walk us through what your creative process is? Both because obviously you organise show with Blackstage.
Yeah.
So we'd love to know your creative process as a show organizer or someone who's planning out all these events, but as a performer as well, what is your creative process? There's a second part to the question, but I'll ask that after you go on to this. Okay,
so I'll start with as a producer. Because I performed for so many years, and before Pole I was performing as a dancer. I did ballet, contemporary, tap, modern, all of those kind of things. So I've done so many shows throughout my life, and there's so many things that I always think like, oh, I didn't enjoy this, that could have been better, like, and I never thought during my teens, like I could just produce a show myself and just add all those things in and remove the things I didn't like. But when it came to like thinking about, oh, I want to run a show and I want to center pole dancers of color and I want to make it the best show, the best option out of any show that exists currently. So I just thought like, okay, what things do I really like? Like I like it when like people are really considerate, when there's food, they cover travel, the money's good, like the actual like stage is considered. So I just like put all of those things into it because I also perform in the show too. So I know that like it's got to be like, I've got very, very high standards, and I feel like if it's good enough for me, it's good enough for most. So I like always strive to make it better than like the best conditions. So the best conditions make it even better, and that's what I want to have. Like we the first year had like stage polls, and like most like pole like most pole shows and like impromptu performances and tours and things like that will use stage poles, but pole competitions, what's very unique to them is they use truss mounted poles, which means the pole is mounted to a structure, so it touches the floor and touches the structure, so you have the floor to play around with, and you don't have this clunky like stage in the way. And I personally had never performed on a truss before because I don't compete, because that's a whole nother like issue with the industry. But I was like, I want to bring a show that also has the trusses because it allows for more free movement around the base of the pole. So I was like, okay, I'm going to put that in this year. And it didn't have that the first year. And every year I'm trying to improve. So like having the truss mounted poles just like elevates it so much more. Like there's so much more room for creativity in floor work. So that's just one example of like how I'm trying to make it the best show. Like if there's like a thing that could make the lighting better. I have lighting. I have like a meeting with like my cinematographer. So I don't just have a videographer. I don't have a videographer at all. I have a cinematographer team. And then I also have like a photographer team. So I've got a film crew, and we have meetings separately to just discuss how we can have the optimal lighting conditions for these pole dancers. And then I have also a meeting with the lighting at the venue. Like, okay, how can we all collaborate to make sure this is the, like to the eye, looks the best ever, and like for the performer. So stuff like that. And then also my creative process as like a performer, I'd say like, it's difficult. I guess you have to get booked first. So it's about like building connections, making sure you're seen, which is very hard with a lot of censorship that goes around in the whole industry. So it's about like maintaining like this balance where you don't like basically get deplatformed. So you're putting enough out there, which is like you being boring. Like you in clothes and not dancing maybe, but like, yeah, just you doing like average stuff, and then like enough pole in there, like getting a balance. But then also like when you work in places, making sure you build like networking, like building up those good connections with people who might want to hire you later, and like also putting out there like your core values so that you only draw in the kind of attention that you want, like the kind of people that you'd want to work with. So I'm very strong on like anti-exploitation, like these kind of things. So people that have exploitative rates probably wouldn't approach me. So I don't really have that problem. So things like that goes into the creative process before I even get hired. And when I get hired, I'm thinking like costume, hair, makeup, outfit, like what are the dimensions of the stage? Like these are things that people that aren't within the pole industry that hire you don't consider. So I'm like, what's your ceiling height? What's the floor texture, and like what's it made of, what's the spacing around the pole? And then I start to plan out like the stage in my head, and I mark out what that looks like when I'm in the studio, and then I'll rehearse it, and then before I'll rehearse it with like I'll do my own costume rehearsal, tech rehearsal, dress rehearsal in my outfit just to make sure everything is aligned. And I'll also do it in my own makeup as well, and this could be like on a Thursday evening. My show's on like a Sunday or a Saturday, but I'll still do it anyway. And then when I get there, I have got like such a strong idea of what I need to do. So yeah,
wow, that's really cool. Because the second part of the question was, how do you, so I think with anyone who's like a creative artist, there's that tendency that sometimes like the line between like being an artist and being an entrepreneur can cross. It's not necessarily a bad thing, but sometimes I guess like we've discussed it before, sometimes the passion for it can get lost because you've got to think about like we said, like the structure of events and the financing and the venue space and all of that. And as someone that's like done events, like I completely understand. I like those late nights, just trying to. Well, anyways, but yeah, I was going to ask, how do you blend artistry with entrepreneurship?
I think for me, because I am a practicing, working professional pole dancer, it's always like I'm always going to blend it because I do the job, so I know what it's like the whole time. If I ever stopped or took a break from performing professionally, I think it would be like there'd be a difference there and it wouldn't be as well blended. But because like I'm probably going to, I performed last Saturday and I'm performing this Saturday. Okay. So it's just like I'm continually performing, I'm continually experiencing performing in different environments. So it's kind of like doing your own research, but also like being in it and like, yeah, just being influenced by different spaces, working with different people. So yeah, it blends in quite nicely being a entrepreneur in this particular way, and also being an artist, because I know what it's like for the people that are going to perform on my stage, because I'm always performing on other people's. So I know what it's like to perform on someone else's stage, and I know what I want out of like my stage and how I want it to be the best. And because I also perform in my own show, I get to experience what other people are like experiencing on that stage, and have some idea of what they're feeling to be stood on that stage and in that environment, because I'm in it too. And I think that's why it's so important for me as well to like make sure I perform in the show, so I can make sure like, okay, everything feels okay, and that I continue performing so I never lose touch with like what that experience is like.
Yeah, oh, that's really cool. Because I think like you said, like when you're actively involved in your craft, like you said, the passion doesn't go like regardless of the blend. But yeah, we're gonna go on to the next thing, which is you've spoken about your journey starting out as a performer, and I think what's really interesting is that transition period, transition from going from performer to founder. Yeah. So we'd love to know, as an audience, as a team, what has been some of the biggest challenges and triumphs you found in establishing Blackstage and organising its shows? So I like rules of three, or I like things in threes. So what have been 3 challenges and 3 triumphs you found in establishing Blackstage and organising its shows?
Okay, so 3 challenges. Okay, I'm going to start with, most of my challenges revolve around, I guess, funding and financing my like shows. So I'd say like the biggest challenges is like, for me, the first one was I had never run a business before. I'd never been an entrepreneur. I never knew how that worked. I didn't have any information. Like I never came from that kind of background. I literally worked in hospitality. Like I was very good at restaurants, head waiter, training staff, serving food knowledge. It's very different from like running your own business. Like there's not really much of like, well, there's a lot of transferable skills, of course, but it's just not like the same thing. I didn't come from like doing a business degree or like working in office or like anything like that. I never did any of this type. I was just serving food. So it was very difficult, I guess, for me, and different to enter like the space of like, I'm now a founder and I have like to, incorporate my business in order to get a business account, to apply for funding. So there's just so many steps before you even get there. So I'd say like the first trial, I guess, would be like, I'm basically entering a new career path that I know nothing about. So that for me is like number one. And like I did have like loads of moments of like, oh my gosh, this is too hard. Like I'm so distressed. So yeah, that came with that. And then second was like actually like going through the process of applying for funding, because what I do is very niche and it's very stigmatized, like pole dance. There's a lot of whorephobia, which is like a hatred of sex workers. A lot of people don't understand like the importance of like sex work when it comes to pole, like stripping. Like pole comes from stripping. The pole that we do, the pole that I do comes from stripping, and like it's very important to maintain that. But a lot of people like hate the idea of stripping and sex work, and they just like hate the idea of pole, and they write you off straight away. So it's like, knowing that, I knew that I wasn't starting on a level playing field with other creatives, other artists, other entrepreneurs. I was starting from like way down there, because it's like someone could just be like, oh, this is terrible, like I'm not going to fund this. And it just like is very stressful. And I did encounter a lot of that. And there's a lot of funding that I was rejected from, like so many funding applications I was rejected from. It was very, very difficult. So that was very hard, like not overcoming stigma, because I don't think that's something you can really overcome, because it just exists. And that's just like, we're moving through it, moving around it. But like it's not really something that I can overcome, because it's just always there. So that is number 2. So like, changing careers and then like moving through stigma to actually get some funds. And then the actual like, well, and I'm going to tie this number 2 in with the whole process of applying for funding as well. Like it's not really like, I feel like a lot of funding structures are built for people that are like really like in academia, or like maybe did a master's or maybe did a PhD, or like have a lot of like, like very in education and things like that. Whereas I did my degree, I got my degree in psychology, but like I also like was in hospitality and things like that. Like I wasn't doing funding applications or knowing that kind of process. So like the actual like funding applications themselves were a lot of work, a lot of time. Like I remember one took me 10 months. Yeah, like it was like a very, very long process. As in not like one application, but like No, to be honest, it was one application that I had to keep redoing over the course of 10 months. It was so hard. And it was just like, yeah, it was very, very difficult. So that was another trial. And then number 3 would be like, I guess sometimes other people's like lack of support sometimes, like other people like doubting you can be another trial. Like it didn't really like affect me that much because I was so busy doing funding things for like 10 months. So I didn't really have time to focus on that. But it's just like a lot of people not understanding how much work goes into that, especially because maybe people don't understand like I didn't do a business degree. I don't have that kind of like knowledge. So yeah, just like people's lack of understanding there and sometimes lack of support. Yeah, just I guess feeling misunderstood. I'm going to make the overarching thing. Being misunderstood and like people not quite understanding what's going on. And then because people don't understand what's going on, so many people don't know how to support you. And it's hard to explain until something's produced and people are like, I get the thing now. And then it's easier for people to support you. But when it's like at its inception, it's so hard for people to understand sometimes where it's going to go, what it's going to be. So those are my 3 trials. I feel like that was quite a long-winded explanation, but we got there in the end. And then you said triumphs.
Yes.
There are so many triumphs, like so many triumphs. I don't even know where to begin. Like, it's just like hundreds of triumphs. I'm just going to think of like, okay, so the first one would be producing when it came to fruition the first time. So like you do all this work behind the scenes, you're working for a long time. And then when it comes to fruition, when it becomes an actual like tangible thing and a thing that people can see, like birthing your business in front of people, and then people being like, wow, it being well received. So it coming to fruition, but it being well received, for me, that was like a huge triumph. Like when we did the first show, like there was probably not a dry eye in the house. Like people were bawling, like tears the whole time. Like there's 13 performances. People were crying the whole time. Like crying 13 times. You know, they got a tissue, they're like, here I go again. So it was just like very emotional and it was like beautiful to see because also like pole doesn't get its flowers. Like people don't see pole on the same stages that they see like ballet and other types of dance. They don't get moved by it in the same way. So creating an environment for people to actually feel moved by it was so special. But yeah, birthing my baby, watching it come to fruition and being well received, that's a triumph. 2, I think like as a business owner, I think like just like, you know, the like legal documents and things that you do behind the scenes and all of the things that are like really, really hard work. When those things are like, oh, this is complete or this is accepted, this is done. Like, I know it's such like a technical thing, but like me not coming from any like kind of business background and knowing that like, oh, this is done, I can do this, all these technical things, and I've got all my spreadsheets, and I'm like, I was never trained in this. So like the fact that I do this now in my stride, sometimes I was doing this the other day and like my wife looked over my shoulder, she's like, look at you with your spreadsheets, I'm so proud of you. And I was just like, yeah, actually, because like this isn't something that comes naturally to me, it's just something I've learned on the job and I'm largely self-taught. So it's just like actually taking a step back and being like, all these legal documents and things like right here, like that's all me doing that, and I taught myself, and like that's really special. So just like the little achievements that people don't see. So the first one's birthing your business, but then the second one's like the little private achievements that people don't see, the things that were difficult for you, but you overcame them and now you take them in your stride and they're just very procedural. You forget that was ever hard. Like that for me is a huge triumph. And then number 3, maybe I should do one that's unique to Blackstage. What is another triumph? I guess like collaboration and partnerships. Like once I had like, I've done now 2 shows and they've gotten better each time. And like now it's like quite a recognized event to the point where like we're having a lot of people reach out to us for sponsorship, for collaboration. People want to support. People are like, just for praise in general, like a lot of like interaction there. And it's got its own kind of like name in the industry to the point where now when I'm telling people like, oh, well done, you're successful, like you'll be in this show, people are actually like in tears. They're like, I've wanted this for so long, like this is my dream come true. And I'm like, wow, this didn't even exist that long ago. 2020, like this didn't exist. So like for you to tell me that it's a dream come true for you to be on the stage is like definitely a job well done from me. Like, and like obviously like now I've got a team like for for us, because it's just like, wow, like this means so much to people, and like having something that means so much to people that they're like in tears, like quite feeling quite overwhelmed, and like, oh, this is a dream come true, is just, yeah, it's phenomenal. So I'm going to say those three things. Okay. Are my triumphs.
Okay, I really like that, and I'm going to try and comment on a few things. So I think one thing that you really mentioned is that idea of like, it is always a challenge when you're like you said, you're applying for funding or you're doing like pitching, and what you like, your target audience is not who you are trying to pitch to, because it's like what people someone that I know, he's got a business, and he was saying like for his business, it's like if people connect with it, they get it, they're like instantly invested into it. But it's like when you're trying to get funding, you're trying to like approach like investors, and they're just like, I don't really see the connection. I don't really get it. But I think it's really, like I said, the work that your business does is incredible, and the fact that you've even shown that, you know, like you found like funding, you've still been able to continue these shows after like dealing with, you know, like you said, not necessarily getting funding applications or not having people necessarily connect with it, is really amazing to see. And I think the second thing that's really important is, as you mentioned, celebrating like the small things, because even like if you're just like, oh, like I wrote down a list of like potential investors or like, I don't know, potential like people I want to collaborate with, and I emailed them all in like one day. Even like last week, yeah, I think it was last week. We helped an event, and I was editing the video, and I was expecting it was going to take like a few days and all this stuff. Literally just like went to Roundhouse co-working space, which is where we're filming, and then like edited the video, and I like did it within that day, and I was like, wow, this is great.
Amazing.
So yeah, I think like you said, it's like celebrating those like little moments, because to others they might not necessarily think it's like big, but for you it's just like, yeah, like I've seen like my work come to fruition. So yeah, I definitely agree. So I think one key thing before we like go to the next set of questions is, I think it's really, well, yeah, I'll ask this and then we'll go to the next stage, and then there's another question I'm going to start before I ask the main question.
Yeah.
But I think one key thing to ask is, so you mentioned that you study psychology.
Yeah.
So I wanted to ask, do you think that even though you mentioned you didn't do a business degree, do you think that your degree has helped you with your business? Has it like helped you with how you plan things out, given you like an extra insight that you think you wouldn't have necessarily had, like you wouldn't have seen things in certain ways because you didn't do it? Yeah.
Absolutely. Like, you know how sometimes people are like, oh, are you going to use your degree? And it's like, I find that so insulting sometimes. I mean, people barely ask me that. I think my nan's asked me that once, and I was like, ah, because like with a lot of degrees, and with like psychology in particular, like I use my degree every day, because like I think sometimes people have this misconception about like what it actually is. And like I actually specialized in psychology of appetite. We eat every day. So yeah, it's actually very important. And like I have a lot of knowledge that I will keep forever, and it's actually important to my diet because of that degree. Psychology of exercise and well-being, I also specialized in, and obviously I'm a pole dancer. Exercise, well-being, very important. It definitely informs the way that like I practice and like my mental health. And then I also studied psychology of inequality. So it's like I work with marginalized groups. So like it is just like, of course, like it informs the way I move through my business, but also like we learn things like self-regulation, and like it's just like how to do things. And also you learn a lot about how you think, like actually what's going on in your brain that allows you to think about something or remember something. So I always think about these things. They're very procedural to me. Again, also like procedural memory is a thing. That's why things are procedural to me, because I'm like, yeah, it's part of my procedural memory. And I sometimes don't just dissect the fact that like, yeah, because like that's part of my degree, and like that's something that I feel like I have expertise in. So yeah, it does definitely help me like to regulate, and like I understand a lot about like what I do in depth because of my degree. Okay. I wouldn't say, when I say I don't have a business degree, it's like I don't have to like particularly run the logistics of a business, but I feel like my degree also does set me up well to do a lot of things, like to literally like eat well. I worked in hospitality for so long, and it did like, I think that's part of the reason I was actually so good at my job. It's because I actually like, it does inform part of my degree, or like what I specialized in for my degree. So yeah, it just, it really keeps me ticking. Yeah, that degree. everlasting knowledge and importance.
Yeah, and I think it is really important to say, because as you mentioned, like, you might not necessarily know, like, it might not be, like you said, you studied a business degree, you know the logistics of setting up a business, but I think it's like some entrepreneur said it, but like there's always, like, when it comes to like entrepreneurs, there's always like, you might not necessarily be like you said, like be accountant or like know how to manage finances, but you might be the ideas person, or like you said, like you might be the person who's thinking about like, I guess, mindfulness and well-being for your whole team and your organization. So just because you might not have that background doesn't mean that, you know, you can't set up a business or you can't run a business.
Yeah.
So yeah, thank you very much for that.
Absolutely. I think anyone can run a business if you're passionate about something and you just like want to turn it into a thing. I feel like everyone has that potential, you know? And I feel like sometimes there's this con about like, you need to have a master's in business, something or other, and all of this. And I'm like, I don't even know what that means. I've never even thought about that. Yeah, if there's something you're passionate about. And like, for me, pole dancing is so niche. Like, who really thinks about, I'm going to make this like pole dancing company business? Like, it's not like normal, I guess. Like, just because something doesn't exist doesn't mean that you can't create it. That's even more reason to make it happen if it doesn't exist already.
Yeah. No, I definitely agree. And I think, as you mentioned, like my undergrad was in environmental science, but my master's was in sustainability, entrepreneurship and design.
Ooh, that sounds cool.
Yeah, it's like, it's a lot more, like, it's kind of complicated because like literally you're dealing with like 3 big subjects and they're just like, yeah, cool, you got like a year to do assessments and stuff. But the coolest one that I would say that, like, I mean, my background in sustainability meant that I loved that, but the ones, like the business one that I did, which was really interesting, was the consumer behavior. So looking at like the psychology of consumers, but then how do businesses market to their consumers to make sure that, like, oh, if we use certain colors, we know it's going to make people feel certain ways, or why do we collaborate with certain celebrities because of certain things. So yeah, really like doing that, I think. Like, I'm not saying like people should do my degree. Like, obviously, like I tell people my master's towards the end, especially my dissertation, like almost took it out of me. Yeah. So I say like a master's is not for the faint-hearted. But it is, like, I'd say, even for like if you're interested in learning about how to market your business, like consumer behavior is such an interesting field to look into, because like when I did that, like we'd look at examples and stuff, and there were times where I was just like, damn, like also as a consumer, like, this is why, like,
they really got us going.
Exactly.
They got us in their pocket.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I think like one like example to give, which funnily enough I didn't actually learn in that class, but was one I saw, I forgot what his name is, I think it's like Jordan something, but he does a lot of like Instagram like videos of like dissecting like stuff people say on the internet. And he basically said, oh, when it comes to Five Guys, because everyone says when they go to Five Guys, like, oh, they give me like loads of chips, like even if I order like a small bag of chips, like they give me loads. And he was just like, so he used to work at Five Guys, and he was just like, the manager he asked his manager, like, why are we giving like loads of people fries? And he was just like, look, man, you gotta just see it like this. People are paying maybe like the chips, I think the cheapest is like £3 something. They're paying like maybe £10 something for like a regular sized burger, maybe like £6 or £7 for a smaller one. He was just like, when you look at the ingredients in that burger, the price that we charge people is not worth it. So he was saying, I'm like, as a business, they're happy to give away more chips because people will be like, oh wow, Five Guys are so friendly, like if I go there I get more chips. And it's that consumer behavior thing, because then you'll be like, oh cool, like I'm feeling really peckish and I don't want to, like, I want to get something that's really good quality, and you're just like, yeah, literally going back to them and, you know, giving more chips just gets people in their mind like, wow, like Five Guys are so giving, they're so nice, like they'll just give stuff for free. And it was just like, afterwards I watched that video, I was like, damn, so that's why I like Five Guys. That's why I like Five Guys. So yeah, I definitely think, as you mentioned, like knowing about your customer basis and like consumers as a whole is so important. But yeah, we're going to go on to the next section, which is all about your business, Blackstage. So we're going to start off, because I actually realised I haven't asked you this. Why is it called Blackstage?
Interesting. Well, it's a Black-owned business. It's a Black-owned stage. So I called it Blackstage. Yeah, literally as simple as that. A lot of the stages are also black as well. You rarely perform on a stage of a different colour. Like, they're not really changing the floor. So I was like, it all just makes sense. Like, yeah. There wasn't that much thought in the name. I was just like, yeah.
But it works.
This is my Black-owned stage. Blackstage. Fantastic.
Yeah, it works. And I think,
Yeah.
one thing, like, before we go into the main question, one thing, like, as you mentioned, sometimes you don't need to overthink a name for your business.
It works.
It works.
Yeah.
But yeah, you are obviously the founder of Blackstage, and we would like to know what inspired you to highlight the work of pole dancers of colour, and how do you feel that, like, the work that you do within Blackstage is changing perceptions in the industry?
So what inspired me to highlight pole dancers of colour was I have obviously a background in dance. I talked about this a little while ago on here. Background in dance, and I was at like a lot of different institutions. Like my mum put me in dance at a very, very young age. And to be honest, I stopped it like when I was like 6 or something. I just didn't like it. I just felt like very stared at by all of the white kids, and I just felt very uncomfortable. Like they made me so uncomfortable that I didn't want to dance. I didn't realize that it wasn't the dance that I didn't enjoy. I realized that it was the gaze and the feeling othered that I didn't enjoy. And I only thought about that kind of more like recently. I say recently, but as I got older. And then like I was in a dance institution that I trained at for a number of years, and like I was really passionate about it, loved it there. But I did feel like when I progressed in that institution, I felt like I was not like rewarded the same as my white counterparts. I felt like I worked so hard and I was very impressive, but I didn't feel like I was, because I always felt like the validation was reserved for the white students, and I felt like, oh, maybe I'm not that good. And then it made me doubt my own abilities. And now I look back and I'm like, actually, I was extremely talented. They just didn't really seem to care or favor me. So pole, I was starting pole for me. At the time I was doing pole, I was in like, again, like some white institutions. I was training at English National Ballet, and I was training at like this dance school, like my local dance school. And again, like just a sea of like white women basically. And I again felt very uncomfortable, but not at the local dance school. There I felt like my teacher adored me. She thought I was fantastic, and so did my other like peers. But I just felt like not at home there. And when I started pole, I did it for me, and I knew that it was quite niche, and I knew that because it revolves so much around being sexy, that it like is even more niche, and like it's not like something that people often share or discuss or like is very widely done. So I was like, this is just me doing this thing for me, and I really felt like at home there. And then when I went to uni, because like I loved pole so much, I instantly took an instructor training course when I got to advanced level. So within a year I'd started pole, become advanced, become an instructor within like a whole year. And then I went to uni and I joined the pole society, and my pole society was actually very diverse. A lot of strippers in my pole society as well. So it was not giving like pole fitness, we don't care about strippers. It was very like, yeah, we're strippers here. And then also like there's loads of people of colour, and it was very like harmonious and nice. And I was like, wow, this is like exactly the kind of thing I like, because I love pole for me, but I'm also seeing my community here. So that's amazing. And then I was like, my team, my pole team, would go and compete. And we were like the only diverse team in a sea of like very, very white like pole teams. And then also the judging panels were largely white. And we just felt like it wasn't really like the vibe that we liked. So it made me think a lot. It's like, and I met one of my really good friends there who like they placed last in that competition, who was like, should have really been like first, you know, or second at least, or third. Like they didn't deserve to be last. And I was just like, the first people were like very mediocre in comparison. I was like, we're literally the only people of color in this competition, like me, this person, and like a few other people. And I was like, it's just not like, they're just not recognizing our excellence. And I just didn't want anything to do with that kind of industry or that kind of world. So what I would do, because that competition was in 2018, so between 2018 and 2020, I would always just share, like, I'd do an Instagram thing of like, these are my favorite pole dancers of color, and I would just share them in like a share that I would do regularly. And I was like, this needs its own place. So that's when I started Blackstage, and it was just the Instagram at first. And then I was like, actually, like lockdown gave me time to stop and think, and I was like, actually, I want to make this a show. I want to put this, like, I want to create like an actual physical space to bring all these people together, because we need to like have a community here in the UK that like we can just like embrace and like be around each other and not feel that discomfort that I felt when I was training in dance. And I felt like I wasn't good enough, but it wasn't that I wasn't good enough, it just was that I wasn't white. And I don't want my pole dancers of colour to feel like that. So I want to create a space where we're like, we recognise that we are excellent and no one can tell us any different. So that is why I created Blackstage yeah, that's answered your first question. And I'm trying to remember the second part of the first question because I've been talking for so long.
How do you feel that Blackstage is changing perceptions in the pole industry?
Oh my gosh, in so many ways. Like before Blackstage, pole shows, events weren't paying people. They had no diversity and inclusion policy. They didn't have like any kind of consideration for marginalized groups, disabilities, anything like that. And Blackstage came in, we were like, this is centering marginalized groups. This is our policy when it comes to diversity inclusion. This is how we're like treating disabled people and like how we're going to like highlight their needs and like what they need being performers, but also like being part of the audience. Money, very important. Let's talk about money openly. We're paying this much. We're going to tell everyone that we're paying this much. So we all know, we're all clear. We're going to pay our pole cleaners. We're not going to do any volunteers because like everyone's volunteering when it comes to pole events. Like no volunteers. The money is there. We're paying people because this is actually work. And there's been this focus on like labor should be compensated. And I've just seen the pole industry since our first show and since the work we've been doing just like grow so much, and people are like, oh, we're so thankful for Blackstage. Before that we weren't paying people, this wasn't being done, like we didn't have these inclusion policies, we didn't have low income tickets or subsidized vending applications, like none of these things existed. Like the infrastructure of pole has become more inclusive because of Blackstage. And I know that I can confidently say that because I've been around and I've seen like off the back of our show, so many people take similar steps to what we've done to actually like make it more equal.
Oh, that's really great. And I think even to go into it, as you mentioned, you're not only like just creating the space for performers to like get involved, you're actually like helping other organizations to come up with like policies and regulations and rules that can sort of, I guess, like bigger than the brand, like continue. So it's not just like, oh, like if you're like a black pole dancer, like Blackstage is for you. It's like, no, like, okay, Blackstage is doing all this cool stuff. How can we as organizations like ensure that, you know, black pole dancers also feel that they're supported as well?
Absolutely. And I was hired as a consultant on so many pole events off the back of like my first show. Like so many people reached out like, I want to start a pole event. Can you become a consultant and can you help me out on this thing? And I'm working at the moment with at least like 3 or 4. I think I'm at the moment working with about 5 different events.
Wow.
Like I do consulting and like that's really cool because it's like I want to make sure that the people that I have performing on my stage that feel so comfortable and like feel this safety with me and my organization can also feel that in other places because there's only so much that Blackstage can do. Yeah, I was talking about how I've been hired to consult on different pole events basically to improve the industry, and like there's been so much change. It's been amazing. And I'm now like a few people have asked me to speak at some other pole events. Like it's like a change that's being embraced by those who care, and that's creating more opportunities for pole dancers of colour and people who are disabled and plus size, just marginalised groups to actually exist in pole spaces now.
Okay. And I think one other question about Blackstage before we go to your future aspirations is you obviously mentioned that you manage a team. So I would like to know, how have you found managing a team? Because I think for a lot of people, especially if like they've never been in like managerial positions or even like in a space where they've had to look after people, that can already be a bit daunting. But as you mentioned, you know, you're obviously like making sure your team are funded and they're getting paid and things. So how do you find managing that? But also, I'm going to add like a second part to that, which is obviously like with. I can. This is just an assumption. If I'm wrong, please correct me. But you're friends with your team, right? Great. You just got to check.
Yeah, of course.
So how do you also find that? Because sometimes I know, like people have said, like they find working with friends can be a bit difficult because of that line of like, am I your boss or are we friends when we're speaking? But I'd like to know how you found it.
So it's interesting because I obviously, like I said, worked in hospitality and I became head waiter in like 2019. So I actually did manage a team there, but it's for someone else's business and it's for something that I've been doing for like, then at that point I'd been doing it for like at least 5 years, like maybe longer. Like when I left hospitality, it was a decade, but like I've been doing the thing. So my skills had been built over so many years and I knew exactly what I had to do within that business that's owned by someone else. And then I went on to be manager of the pole studio. Again, that's someone else's business. So like it's kind of like trickle down. Like I understand their expectations and then I'm like managing a team under that. But with this, it's like, these are just like, everything is in my head, in my brain. And it's something I've been used to I had gotten used to doing all on my own. So those last 2 shows did completely on my own behind the scenes. All the admin, all of the like everything, that was all me. And so like it was all in my brain, and now I've got to like empty my brain to people. And the people that actually work as part of the core team, which is the team that's behind the scenes, is like I have a social media assistant called Peachy Pola, and she does the social media, amazing. And then I have an admin assistant production assistant, called Alexandra, and she does all of the like admin-y things behind the scenes. And it's just like, I find it difficult because I'm emptying my brain, but like I'm so not used to like this. I'm so not used to Blackstage, like the top processes of Blackstage being shared with anyone. So I feel like I'm not like the best at it, but it's like something I'm finding my groove with. So I have to have like a lot of meetings with them and be like, blah, 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 blah. Is this okay? Blah, blah. But these guys are like so good, like super helpful, and just like when they know the task, they do it and they do it well. So that's really, really helpful. And I actually know them because they were part of the first show. Wow. So I met them at the first show. Well, Peachy Polar, I met her at a competition prior to that, and we'd followed each other on Instagram for years since. And then she applied for the first show, and then like after the first show, I was just so heavily involved, I hired her as social media manager for the last show, and I hired Alexandra as like a stage assistant for the last show as well. So I'd worked with them last show as well, so I knew that they like were really passionate about Blackstage, and like I think they both put themselves forwards for like roles, and like they're just so excellent. I do feel like I struggle. It's so much easier when I'm managing someone else's business, but when it's like my own, I'm like, oh my god, everything is just inside my brain, and like I just need to like get it together. But yeah, these guys are really good. It's just giving instructions and just trying to keep clear communication, and like I have to have like quite often meetings with them just to be like just empty my brain basically and be like, this is what's going on, guys. Like, these are the things we need to do. And they're just like, yeah, we'll do that. Cool, sorted. And they'll do it, and they'll do it way better than I could ever do, especially with like my limited capacity now as the business is growing. I thought having a team would mean I would have less work. It just means that I've picked up work from elsewhere. Like the work that I do has now expanded to become somehow more than it was before, with also having a team. So yeah, it's just really interesting. And like the social media assistant, Peachy Pola, is just like so good at like creating content. Like she can create a video and like we did a pole jam once, and it was like an hour long, this pole jam maybe, and like by the end she just was like, yeah, the video's ready, and I was thinking, wow, like it would have taken me 2 weeks to do that, and then she's just finished it at the end. I was just like, wow, amazing, like yeah, excellent. Just I couldn't do these things without those guys at all. Like not at this point. Wow. It would be impossible.
Yeah, that's really cool. And I think it's important, as you mentioned, that you, like we said before, you don't have to do everything for your business, because some people, that is just their specialty. Yeah. And like I completely agree. You know, with the team at Pickup, I'm trying to get used to giving things away and not just doing things myself. But also, as you mentioned, like not, because I think like anyone who's like been doing, like has been focusing on their business for a long time has that tendency to like just spiel when you like have these meetings. So honestly, like my brother and sister help out with the podcast, so sometimes they're at the meetings too, and like my sister's just like, so it's funny because I literally like be saying like loads of things, and she'll just look at me and be like, just like breathe, like just give people a minute to digest and respond to what you're saying. But yeah, no, it's really great to see that, you know, you've got this amazing community that are not only like people that you work with, but you've got, like I mentioned, that friendship and support outside of the role and outside of work. But yeah, future aspirations. Show number 3 is on the horizon. It is
on the horizon. Crazy.
Could we let's say April 6th of
April,
Yes. So what we're gonna look a bit past the show. We're gonna say the next 3 years. What are your future plans and aspirations for Blackstage? How do you envision its evolution?
Oh, it's just huge, you know, worldwide, world domination.
Okay.
There's so much that I imagine that will be like part of Blackstage's destiny. Just more like just bigger shows with more like reach, obviously more attention to detail, more like funding. I like the where we're at right now with the rates. But yeah, I just want to continue in that vein and like just like make sure I have enough income to sustain those shows because they are very expensive. And just like more smaller events, centering pole dancers of color, basically. And like I'd love to do a Blackstage show to the same standard, or even like a smaller one, but just like very well done and neat abroad. Like I would love to take it somewhere else. So yeah, that's what I imagine. But I just imagine like, yeah, just like good things. And I feel like when I think about the future, I just think like money, because I'm just like, no, I need to make sure the money is there so that I can also like keep my team, you know, fed, all of that kind of stuff. So yeah, that's like the of primary importance. Just like making sure I have like the funds to continue to produce something of such a high quality.
Okay, so does this mean, you know, I'm going to put it out there to the universe, so to speak. Does this mean we could see a Blackstage show at the Roundhouse? Because, you know, they've got the big stage.
I actually don't know what this venue even is.
You don't know?
I don't know anything about this. Are we in North London?
Yeah,
that's why I'm from Southeast. Yeah, you can't tell me anything outside of the river. I'm like, huh? Southern Scotland.
But yeah, no, we've got, I say we've got, like, I run the place.
Wow.
Yeah, there's a massive
Let me just hop on Google. How many seats? I'm interested.
I'm actually not sure about the seats number, but I know, like, they use it for a lot of shows. Funnily enough, Burna Boy performed there.
Stop.
Yeah.
So
it's big. It's a big space.
800. Oh my god.
Yeah.
Wait, is this the same place?
Yeah.
Wait. Camden?
Yeah, Roundhouse Camden.
Huh?
Yeah.
I've literally never heard of this before.
Yeah. So like where? So.
Oh my god, the cap is big.
Yeah.
Stage looks good. Okay,
Yeah.
I'm interested.
She's
Talk to me.
Look, little plug there.
Actually, that's why it's called the Roundhouse.
Yeah, because it's literally. Yeah.
I've never heard of this before.
Yeah.
Oh, looks like they've got other smaller theatres in there as well.
Yeah.
That's cute. Oh, that does look really fun.
Okay.
It's just hard when you take pole on a scale that big though, because it's like you become like a little speck in the distance. So I think maybe I wouldn't go 800 cap. Maybe I'd stop at like, well, how many have I got now? Actually, no, I think I would.
Okay.
I would go 800 cap because I'm thinking my venue now isn't that far off. So actually, what am I saying? Yeah, but maybe this just looks very big. Maybe I'd just do like that, but like in a smaller space, bigger stage. Maybe you need those screens, you know, like at festivals and concerts, they have those big screens. Maybe something like that if it was going to be that big, but maybe I'm thinking maybe the same show but more frequent so that everyone can get a good view. But yeah, that is cool. Okay. Maybe I'll check out that theatre at some point soon. Nice.
You heard it first. If it happens,
wow.
It happens. But yeah, I've asked you all the questions I've got. I'm gonna. Well, if you want to ask me a question, you can ask me a question. Yeah, I won't force you to because it's a duo combo. So if you would like to ask a question, you're more than welcome to.
Yeah, what have you been up to? You know, like last time I saw you was BBR graduation.
Yes.
Yeah, I haven't seen you since. I feel like you've been busy.
Yeah. Oh God, it's been busy. So last year was really busy. So like you said, applying for funding opportunities, awards, keeping an eye on that. What else happened? So now I've been, this year's just been about like growing the business and growing professionally myself. So looking for opportunities. So currently I am supporting a food founder, called Colin, who runs this business called Food Source Media, which is all about like supporting and essentially raising awareness about diverse food and drink entrepreneurs. So essentially every like week or every couple of weeks I interview a food founder on his Instagram channel for a week, for 10 minutes, that literally just only came because someone that I interviewed on the podcast, she hosts a panel discussion for him, and he saw that we interviewed each other. He saw that I was like put out a link on LinkedIn saying like I want to get into hosting stuff, and he was literally just like, do you want to do this? So cool. So yeah, now I'm hosting that. What else am I doing? We've got events. So probably by the time this goes out, we're doing a International Women's Day panel in March for the first. So Friday, the 1st of March. We're going to be doing it in 2 locations. Like, you know, those times when you're just like you're planning, you got this great idea, but you're just like it's low key. On the day, I'm going to be like running around like a headless chicken.
You're good at that though.
Yeah, you know what it is.
Really, you look really calm.
Thank you. It's like the swan. Like on the surface, I'm like chill, but like underneath, my feet are just going like this. But yeah, so we're going to live stream it. So we're going to have, because of like spacing, we're going to have like a limited number of people at actually Roundhouse Works, which is where we are.
Nice.
And then we're going to live stream it so like people can watch it. But we're also going to have like a viewing venue at my old university, so at Brunel.
Cool.
So people are going to be able to like connect with like Brunel speakers and like alumni and people who live closer to Brunel, so they don't have to come all the way to the Roundhouse. So they'll have them to network with. But they're basically going to come. They're going to watch the live stream. It's going to have like, we've got a great panel of speakers, which hopefully by this time they would have all been announced. And then yeah, once we do that, we're going to like shut the live stream off and then let everyone network. So both within the Roundhouse and within Brunel, give them the opportunity to connect and network with each other. So that is what part of my day is doing. And then also in March, because again, I just love to give myself work. So March the 3rd is essentially our anniversary of when we launched our first ever podcast. First ever podcast and our first ever episode.
Cool.
So in March, we want to do like a big celebration. So to bring like everyone who's been in the podcast, everyone who's supported, everyone who's like engaged, all of this stuff, bring them to a venue, and then the plan is to do so this won't be live stream, but an in-person podcast recording with hopefully all three of us from the first episode. So it was myself, my friend Samuel, my friend Anushka, but if not, at least myself and Samuel, and to talk about like essentially like what that first episode was like, and then go into talking about like how essentially the business has grown and how it's changed.
Amazing.
So that's really what I've been up to. Organising that, a couple of hosting gigs, still applying for funding and awards. I've literally got like three or four competitions that end in February.
Like awards.
Yeah. So
I need to like. I voted for you, by the way.
Thank you very much.
I'm the one that you emailed out.
I just
need to remind myself to get my wife to nominate me.
Because literally like, when it comes to award, and I think the most like this is like a random sideline, but like I think when it comes to awards, the most annoying thing can be when you see an award that you're like really interested or it fits your brand, and then either it's just closed.
Oh, happens to me all the time.
Or like nominations nominations aren't open, and then you're just like, oh yeah, I'll keep on checking, and then obviously like with the busyness of life, that doesn't always happen. So again, it closes and you don't see it.
Yeah.
Or like, I think for me, there's some that are just like really good, but then they'll drop like, oh yeah, we need like 600 for your submission. And I was like,
oh no. Stuff like that, just a very big deterrent for me. I'm like, oh.
I'm like, wow. And I'm just like, I'm not even a guaranteed like winner. I'm just literally just submitting a nomination. You're just like, yeah, it's like 600, 400. And I was just like, okay. Cool. But yeah, there are a lot of cool awards. Actually, there are actually a few I could share with you. So awards that you might be interested in. So the small awards for small owned businesses. You don't have to pay for submission, which is really good. And the way it essentially works is you can submit, I think it's like 200 words, basically like all the details of like your name, your business, the links, a website, and then it's just like 200 words on like why you're submitting your business. There's loads of different categories. So I'm pretty sure there's like events. Actually, I've got it up. So I'm not even going to try and just like read it off. I'm going to load it up quickly. He says this while trying to small awards. But yeah, they have like loads of different categories. So they have the digital star, which is if you are digital, like your business is solely like digital. They have, let me go to this. They've got high street business, so high street hero. So if you're a high street business, bricks and clicks. So for multi-channeled small businesses, they've got legacy award for family-owned businesses, supply chain champion for B2B businesses, new kid on the block for new businesses that are less than 18 months old. They've got the digital star for digital only businesses, heart of gold for businesses that contributes most to their community, which might be of interest to you. And at your service for small businesses, small service-based businesses, soul to soul for sole traders who are applying, and many more. And of course, they've got like small business of the year, which is like the overarching award that links it all. But yeah, completely free. You can submit as many nominations as you want. I don't know, like, you need to check out the link to know specifically for your business if you like.
Send it to my wife.
You send it?
Yeah, I'd be like, can you nominate me for this?
But yeah, there's also I think Black British Business is the one.
I think I've seen that. Yeah, I don't know why I didn't apply for that. Maybe
no, that's all right. There's that as well. I think it's still open.
Maybe it wasn't applicable to me. I don't know. I saw it, but I don't know why.
No, definitely recommend to check. And as well for you, audience, this isn't just us having like a nice conversation about the different awards that we'd love to go for. This is also relevant to you. There's also, I think they've recently opened it for like.
Oh my gosh, you're just full of information.
No, it's because
I can't even keep up.
It's because mainly just because sometimes I get sent it by my old university, which I would say if you are like a recent graduate or you're currently at university, make sure you subscribe to your mailing list, especially if your university has like an entrepreneurship team, because they might be able to like share awards with you. So like a big one, which like if you don't even need to just be based within the UK, this might be relevant to you. Like if you're watching this globally, I guess, putting it out to everyone out there. Essentially, there's the Forbes 30 under 30 are currently doing nominations. So
Stop it.
yeah,
I thought that was about being really wealthy.
No. So you can submit anyone can nominate, and then I think it's just judged by like a group of panelists.
Oh my god, I didn't know you could just okay.
Yeah. So you submit. So you do it by region. So you'd say like I don't know, like I think it's Europe, North America, and somewhere else, and then after that submission, you then have to pick like a category that your business would fall under. So like when I nominated myself for Pick Up the Mic,
Nice.
I went for the media category because that's where a lot of our work is. But they've got like loads like education, music, like there's loads of things. And then you just have to put like why you're applying, why do you think you deserve to be like put on the list. But yeah, I'd say like always just keep like, even if you do like a Google search of like business awards or like funding opportunities within London or the UK or Europe or America, just make sure you put the year, because usually like the year is what is the big factor. And as we literally were just talking about, like nominations missing the deadlines or like the deadlines coming in close, and meaning like you're gonna have to stay up late to apply can be a big deterrent. And then one last thing before we wrap up.
Sent all of those.
You sent all that?
Yeah, thank you so much.
No, you're very welcome.
God,
you're very
amazing.
welcome. I will say as well, little plug. If you subscribe to our LinkedIn, like I probably won't be adding. I might add it to the website, but bear with me. But we do each week try to so we've got a newsletter on our website which we try to send out each week. We do put like some of these opportunities in there as well, so some of them are like international, so even if you're watching and you're just like they're literally just talking about like, in the UK, then it's not going to be relevant to them. We've got loads of awards that we share, so if you subscribe to Pick Up the Mic on LinkedIn, you can get access to all of those cool fun things.
Nice.
Yeah, I've forgotten actually what I was going to say about that.
LinkedIn?
LinkedIn, yes.
I don't have LinkedIn.
You know, I would say it's...
I don't know. Is that something I should be doing?
It's an interesting one, because I personally find if I'm trying to find people for the podcast, like to get in touch with them through LinkedIn is great, because like before I would use... So when I didn't really use LinkedIn a lot, and then when I like was at uni doing my undergrad, they were just like, you need to do it if you want to get a job. So I was like, cool.
Really? They said that?
Yeah, they were just like, oh, you need to
like.
it'll be really good, because I was looking for a placement as well. So they were just like build it up a bit. So yeah, I wasn't really like posting regularly, but I was posting stuff every once in a while.
Yeah.
And then when I started the podcast, like I was just like, cool, like there's some people that have like the premium thing that I'm trying to get in contact with, and I'm messaging, and I was just like, oh, rather than like just it seeming like a random DM, I was just like, if I like build up my page, then it just naturally will work. So what I've found is having my Instagram and like I've got like a public Instagram page, and having that, even though I only started in like May for the business, essentially has worked really well. It's been really good. But I would say LinkedIn it depends. If you're looking for like investors, if you're looking to like stand out, I would definitely recommend.
Yeah, maybe I'll do one for Blackstage. Do I have to do one for myself?
I think you do. I think you do need to have one.
Yeah, so I feel like as the founder or something, you probably need to have the original page to start the business. Okay, so got more work.
But one thing I will say is just be like very like, especially like I don't know of anything else called Blackstage, but always just be careful, because if your business is the same name as something else...
Oh, it can't, well, our name is trademarked, so...
But the thing is, with LinkedIn...
Does it not apply?
So, like, your full name, so, like, for example, like, Pick Up the Mic is now, like, as a registered company, so Pick Up the Mic Limited appears, is what our name is. But like my sister, she has an app, like she's got her own business that she started. Yeah. She's not registered the company yet, but when she kept it as just, so the company was called Mummy and Me. And then literally what we found out was people were like saying they worked there, but they must have been saying they meant they worked for another organization, but just saw this, clicked on it and thought that was the organization. Yeah. So you, the good thing is LinkedIn lets you like remove like people who don't, like you as an admin can say, I don't know any of these people, they don't work for me, like I'm removing them. And it lets you do that with ease. But yeah, I would say just be very like just check the name, because sometimes, or like regularly check like who LinkedIn says works in your company, because you'll find that like sometimes random people might like just put it there.
Oh damn! Do you have to put like the actual company's house name? Or because like Blackstage is like Blackstage Limited, but it's also like it goes by BLXCKSTAGE too. So I could do that, or I could just do Blackstage Poll, because we also go by Blackstage Poll. Yeah, so it's just like, do I put that one, or like, I mean, it's all trademark, but then if the trademark doesn't matter because people are saying other things,
I'd say
like, can they do that? Like, if I've got a trademark for a name, surely I could be like, why are you using my legal business name for your business? Surely that's not.
It's not right. It is also like a good, I think even like kind of like what you mentioned, it is a good way to like suss out if someone's trying to like step on your territory, because funnily enough with Pick Up the Mic, we weren't registered at the time, but that kind of happened. So even though our first episode came out in March, so I set up the like
put this on my list.
No,
start LinkedIn.
Yeah. So when we started the business, I guess when we started out, we weren't like a registered business at the time. We set up the page and like set up all our links and stuff in February. So like we had the Instagram. So let me give context. We had the Instagram page already set up. The LinkedIn page I think came later, like closer to when we released our first episode. But yeah, when we started, we hadn't released anything, but we were just like, okay, like we've got a name, pick up the mic, put it out there. Then we found out that essentially there was this, I've never met this person, there's someone in America, they wanted to use the name Pick Up the Mic, but obviously we'd already taken it, so they called their podcast Pick Up the Mic Podcast. So originally, like when because we both started around similar times, so like Samuel, for example, was just like, like, I'm just a bit concerned, like people might think that like that's us and we're like confused, like get confused and stuff. And I was like, nah, you know what, let's just be consistent. Like if we're just continually posting and like we've got content coming out like each week, then it means that like regardless of if they call themselves Pick Up the Mic Podcast, like we'll appear before. Even I will say like Pick Up the Mic is the name of many things.
Well, you know, maybe if they're doing a podcast too, people will find yours and be like, wow, this is actually better.
Exactly. So that's, so yeah, definitely that's the thing when it comes to like your name, is like always just like check what's there.
That's really scary. I feel like there's a scary world out there that I'm about to enter.
No,
I'm scared.
But no, you've got like you said, you've trademarked your name, you've got the like evidence that you like you're not just starting today. Like it's the business has existed, you have other links that show that, even like I said, like the fact that you've got your Instagram as well. It should be fine. Like you could do a Google search. I'm pretty sure there's nothing called Blackstage on LinkedIn. You're just like, let me quickly check. But yeah, I say like if you are going to register, like you want to create, even if it's not a business and you want to just make like something for like you've got a project or a side hustle you want to eventually turn into a business, lock down your name, because if someone else has it and it's really catchy, it's really good, it's gone. One thing I will say, and this definitely will be before we like wrap up, because I know studio time is coming to an end, is essentially with Pick Up the Mic, we like, I guess kind of like Leila was saying about like celebrating your small triumphs. Like Pick Up the Mic is the name of a documentary as well as a JME song. So for us, it's really nice because now on like Google and LinkedIn, not LinkedIn, on Google, on YouTube, on other platforms, if you put up like Pick Up the Mic, or even like, well, definitely if you put up Pick Up the Mic Network, but if you put up Pick Up the Mic, then like especially on Google, we're one of the like top links. So, so yeah, even if like there is a song, a documentary, something else with the same name, as long as you like keep like funneling your content, you keep that consistency rather than, you know, like always being worried that, you know, you have to make it perfect, then yeah, you'll naturally just find that your content, like your page will just grow. And then when you like, we could do a whole podcast episode about it, but that won't be for today. But like looking at SEOs and search engine optimizations, how do you make yourself more findable on like search engines? Yeah, all of that fun stuff. Yeah, can help you to essentially grow your business. Cool. But yeah, we've come to the end of
had to just
the
check
episode.
the LinkedIn, the LinkedIn babes, see what they're up to.
Okay. Did you?
Cool.
Is there another Blackstage?
Yeah, they've like it's a Blackstage Limited. Like
Okay.
Like how? That's like, can I? Like, I don't know. That's my trademark.
Yeah.
My name of my company.
It sounds like
someone's in trouble. Someone's in trouble because that's literally I pay for that. So yeah, we're gonna have to have a conversation.
I told you.
It's not good.
That's why you've always got to check, because if they've got the same name and they're trying to like,
though, because mine it was available
exactly
when I trademarked it. So
but you know, it's people.
Someone's gonna get a little cheeky message when I pop up on the LinkedIn.
And just be like, excuse me. And you can actually do that on LinkedIn. There is a way. I think if you want to set up, even as like a LinkedIn person, if you show that like you're the founder of a company, and you like, if I like, I'm not going to, but like if I set up like Microsoft and I use the same image, I said I'm the founder of Microsoft. I use bots to make it seem like I've got like 10,000 employees working with me. Microsoft are able to like message LinkedIn, I mean also Microsoft's own LinkedIn, but they're able to message and say like, hey look, like this guy is clearly lying, he doesn't work here, this company is mine, like these are the documents, and LinkedIn can like say, okay cool, like this page is getting like pulled down. Nice. So yeah there is a lot of support if you do have to deal with that. But yeah, we've come to the end of the episode. This is going to be the little, before we like get all the links for people to get in touch with you, Leila, I haven't got a name for this, but I will get one for the next time we record this. But this is essentially the section where you can give shout out to let people know of stuff that they should be aware of. So yeah, what and I guess I don't have a timer, but like what are things people should be looking out for in 2024 from Blackstage?
Oh, so our next event is actually on the 10th of Feb. It's called Blackstage Talks, and we're just discussing like creating safer spaces within the pole industry. So it's me and some other like leaders within the pole industry. So me, my friend Gemma, who runs PDSM, which is like a sex worker led like competition, hires sex workers on the team, like very like sex worker centric. Beanie the Jet, who runs this thing called Filthy Friday, which is like a celebration space for all and like is like an inclusive pole dancing event space. And then it's hosted by Carolina, who is blogger on pole, and she talks a lot about censorship. And she's just like, she does so many things. She's got a PhD, like she's just like, yeah, she does so many amazing things. But yeah, it's going to be us all talking about these things. And it's on the 10th of Feb, and it's at the Common Press, which is an LGBTQIA plus venue in Shoreditch. So proper like cozy and like aligns with all of our values. And then obviously our show is in April. We have some workshops that we dropped a few days ago, but they sold out straight away, so I won't even mention those. And then what else? We have just other things popping up in the year, like we were going to perform at Mighty Hoopla, like Blackstages. So just like, yeah, keep an eye on Blackstage. To keep an eye on our mailing list as well, because like some people will be like, oh my god, like all this is sold out and blah blah, and I'm like, the mailing list, we always say, get on it if you want to know things. So yeah, join the mailing list if you want to find out more information. But we're doing things. And I'm running some events actually next month as well, late next month. My usual masterclasses on how to make money as a pole performer, so how to avoid exploitation as a pole performer, and then how to write a pole performer contract is going to come after that. It's going to be the week after. So 21st and then the 28th of Feb, both at 7 p.m.
Okay. Yeah. Well, it sounds like you're up to a lot. And well, we'll include the links below. So if you want to attend the events, just click the links in the description. But yeah, we've now come to the end of the episode. It's been amazing to learn more about Blackstage, but of course learn more about you too, Leila.
Oh, thank you.
If our audience want to connect, they want to find more about, because I also realised when we were talking about the shows and stuff, I didn't actually ask you to say like what your Blackstage handle is as well.
Gosh, yeah.
But yeah, what are the handles for you, for Blackstage? You mentioned the mailing list as well, the website,
okay. all of the things.
things.
Okay, so Blackstage Pole The website is just blackstagepole.com. So that's BlackstagePole.com. Blackstagepole.com. Loads of things there, loads of information there. But our Instagram is actually BLXCKSTAGE. Just that. So much going on there. And then my personal Instagram is QT Whippingham. So that's CUTIEWHIPPINGHAM. I won't even tell you about my website because I feel like most things I do now are via the Blackstage website. So just those 3 spaces are just the places to be if you want to know about what I'm doing, what Blackstage is doing. Definitely follow those, and you can join the mailing list. As soon as you go on the Blackstage website, it just pops up.
Sick.
If it doesn't, just scroll down, it will pop up, or you'll see another one there, because I put 2 there, just in case it doesn't pop up for some people. So there's just another one further down, just in case.
Perfect. Cool. But yeah, thank you to your wonderful audience for coming back to another episode. If you like this episode, a like, comment, subscribe is always appreciated. If you want to make sure that you don't miss any of our other episodes that are coming out, or you want to make sure that you're the first one to watch them or listen to them, please do make sure you click the notification bell at the bottom of this video. If you're interested in receiving some perks, supporting the podcast, because we can't do this without your effort. And actually, unfortunately, it couldn't come by the time we record this episode, but it's at home now. So by the time I do the next recording of whatever, I'll be able to show it. We do have some merch that we're planning.
Ooh.
I'm going to test and see how it looks.
Sounds fun. You're going to be wearing it on the podcast.
I'm gonna next
Fantastic.
time. Look, if it's good enough, we're gonna find a distributor so we can let you guys get it. But yeah, if you want to get some merch, please do make sure you subscribe to the Patreon, because we're gonna be dropping. So Patrons will get like exclusive access, and we will be having like a list to make sure that we can give you guys the content, the merch that you're looking for. But as I mentioned, also to support the podcast, so you can either join our YouTube membership, which is in the link below, which is next to channel membership, or you can join our Patreon page, which is also linked down below. And finally, if you're interested in learning about some of the other stuff we do, as I mentioned, we have 3 separate channels to just this one. So we have the main Pick Up the Mic channel, which is what the Hustle Chronicles is under. But if you're interested in learning about sci-fi, fantasy, hearing discussions on your favorite TV shows and films, please do check out the 2 Maesters with Morgan and Joshua. If you're interested in learning about anime and the world of cosplay and all things related to that, please do check out Senseis of Anime, our anime podcast. And finally, if you're interested in learning about gaming and connecting with gamers and learning more about funny game moments and people's stories when it comes to gaming, please do check out Pick Up the Controller. But yeah, that's the end of today's Chronicles. We will be back with another entrepreneur, learning about another field, and most importantly, learning about new entrepreneurs in their business. So that's bye from us here. Enjoy the rest of your day, and we'll speak to you soon.
Bye.